All right, we are live. Welcome to another episode of Health Coach Tip Tuesday, where we, FDN Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, aim to educate and support you by giving you all the tips and tools and best practices of the trade as a health coach or health professional so that you can go out and help people on a deeper level. My name is Jen Maleka. I am one of the business mentors for the FDN community, and I am joined today with wonderful and brilliant Jennifer Woodward, who is the director of our Association of FDN Professionals, our graduate group. And today we are here to talk to you about why functional lab testing increases your credibility as a health coach. So if you would like to increase your credibility as a health coach or a health professional in order to give yourself an edge and attract more clients, then you are in the right place. This is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, and how functional lab testing specifically kind of gives you the platform to stand on in this world and helps you to create that edge. So if you want to instantly get more information about this, go ahead and actually drop the word edge below, and we're going to send you our board certification guide, which is one of the things that we're going to be talking about today. And I wanted to bring Jennifer on because actually last week when I was on talking about the business that it is a hot topic, and that's one of the ways that we create credibility. And you actually have had you are like our go-to person in our community that works with and partners with the different board certification groups out there, right? So maybe just rattle off like some of the board certifications that we are affiliated with as the FDN community, and then later in our conversation we can dive a little bit deeper into some of those aspects too.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me. I love being on with you, Jen. And I see everybody dropping edge. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. At FDN, once you graduate the program, right now you have 3 options for board certification. So we've always partnered with the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. That's the AADP, and that is a board certified holistic coach. So you can become board certified through the AADP for, I think it's $250, and you're into that association. So you've got all the benefits that go with being a board certified member and being in that association. We've loved it. A lot of our practitioners are AADP certified, Reed's AADP certified. So it's a great way to gateway into board certification. This past year, we partnered with AANWC. So that's the American Association of Natural Wellness Coaches. And that is a board certification that kind of takes things to the next level. So while AADP is just kind of, you pay into it, you are part of that association through your dues, AANWC is actually a board certification test. So you have to take an exam to be board certified. Once you are board certified through that examination process, and I will say, hey Fallon, I will say I took it once and I failed. And I'm like a good test taker. I love school. I love studying. I'm like, I got this. Kids, leave me alone. I'm going to take a test. And I failed it, and I almost started crying. I'm like, no. And so we do partner also with the Institute for Functional Health Coaching to do a board certification prep class. So
cool.
It's really cool. I did enroll in that class, studied my booty off, retook the test, passed, and became a board certified functional wellness coach. So it's just that extra level of someone who's, dedicated to their craft, wanting to step to the next level, wanting those extra letters behind their name. You can take the AANWC board exam, start to finish, from the time that you apply to the time you enroll in school and take your test. It's probably a good 2 or 3 months, but it's something you can do definitely while concurrently working with clients at FDN, which is great. Now there's a 3rd level of certification, and this is specifically for naturopaths. So if you're coming to FDN and naturopathy is your background, you're a doctor of naturopathic medicine, we have the AANWP, and that's the practitioner side. So you also can get certified through an exam, but there's a non-exam option. So you can be under that governing body. Reed is actually on the board of both of those associations, and we do partner pretty closely with both of them. A lot of our practitioners have gone that route, but it's not something necessary. It's just for, people who find that to be interesting and of benefit to their career. I know Jen is so busy with her practice. She's like, I might get to that later, but I'm trying to roll through these 20 discovery calls every week.
Yes, exactly. So thank you for sharing that information. Like I said, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the board certification stuff here in just a moment. For anybody new who's joining us in the conversation here, Jennifer and I are basically here talking about, how functional lab testing, or why functional lab testing essentially increases your credibility as a health coach or a health professional, to give you an edge, to separate yourself apart from the rest of the pack in the industry, and also to help you attract clients. So, and if you would like more information about this, go ahead and drop the word edge below, and we are going to instantly send you our board certification guide, which has some of the information that Jennifer was just sharing as well, because we are seeing, board certification. But before we dive into that, let's actually talk about just the aspect of the lab testing specifically. So, Jennifer, I know when I was looking to make the leap into becoming a health coach. I was actually a personal trainer, and then I worked in corporate wellness. And when I was looking for what was that next thing for me to help people on a deeper level, when I found the FDN training program, Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, and saw the pieces of lab testing were included, that we were going to learn about lab testing and then have access to lab testing once we graduated, that was a huge valuable piece to me. And the reason being was because one of the reasons why I was looking to make a career change was that, I had my degree in kinesiology. I studied fitness, nutrition, and health in college, and then working in corporate wellness. I was just finding that the general, recommendations for people in diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation wasn't actually really getting results. Like, I was struggling with my own health. And then I also noticed it in my personal training clients and the corporate wellness employees that we were working with. And so I really wanted this credibility, this validation actually of the lab testing that would give me the objective data in order to guide more personally these recommendations for diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation, and even toxin removal. And this was something that was going to set me apart from the rest of the pack. Like, general health coaches or other health coaches out there, they have training in like dietary theories and some of this, lifestyle things and positive psychology, which is all great. And at the same time, even with that stuff, you're kind of taking a shot in the dark without the lab testing. And so I find that even the clients that come to me, oftentimes, like, they've worked with other health coaches or they worked with other practitioners. And one of the things that attracts them in is definitely that functional lab testing piece that we do. Like, it gives us that instant credibility because people are looking for answers to their problems. Like, they've been, through the mill, the runaround, or the cycle of trial and error, as Reed calls it, and they're tired of not getting answers. And the lab testing help us to give them, those pieces of the puzzle of those answers. So it's like instant credibility that you get. And I also felt like I was going to be more confident in being able to deliver results with lab testing. So I'd be curious to have you share with our viewers here, what exactly it is that attracted you to FDN, and how the lab testing piece helped you feel more credible or confident in your work. And again, for anybody who's joining on with us right now, we're talking about why functional lab testing increases your credibility as a health coach or as a health professional, and how it can set you apart from the rest of the pack, especially in this growing industry. So Jennifer, why don't you share a little bit about your experience with this?
Absolutely. I've always been very passionate about nutrition and wellness from the time I was a child. So it's always been something that's interested me. I went through many stages in my life. I was telling you before this, I actually used to sell drugs for Abbott Laboratory. So I spent years of my life being trained on anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and the interactions between drugs and the body. And then after that job, I stayed at home with my kids for about 10 years, and my third son had an outbreak of eczema that lasted about 18 months that had my husband and I at the end of our rope. We did not know what was wrong with my son, Roman. He was 3 years old. It's like heartbreaking to see a little 3-year-old crying. I'd give him a bath and his eczema would start oozing and bleeding. He'd play out in the backyard in the hose and his eczema would start oozing and bleeding. I thought, is my son allergic to water? I did not know what to do. And we took him to doctor after doctor after doctor. He had steroid creams. He had, blood work done. Nothing helped. And so it wasn't until a chiropractor friend said, hey, let's run an IgG antibody test on him and see if there's something he's intolerant to, because his scratch test didn't show anything. And his IgG test showed that he was very intolerant to both casein and chlorine. This made sense to us immediately. We'd been searching for answers for 18 months, and in one test, we had the answer. So getting a whole house water filter, taking away the 8 bottles of milk he'd been drinking a day, instantly cleared up his skin and really just galvanized my love for lab testing. It's not a cliche. We say it all the time: test, don't guess. And that's what sets us apart. I think that there are, thousands of really well-trained health coaches who have a passion for health and wellness and nutrition, but without getting to unwrap those layers of dysfunction in the body and go deep and find out not what's wrong with the body, but what's imbalanced in the body, you can really start making a dent in people who've been struggling with their health journeys for years, decades. And so one day when I was watching a YouTube webinar with an FDN, I thought, oh my gosh, I can do this? You've got to be kidding me. And I went and ran and told my husband, I was like, you got to finance some more school. I got to do this right now. And he did.
Exactly. And so it is that confidence. I think, confidence and credibility are kind of a little bit of the same to me sometimes, is that when we have confidence, then we automatically exude, credibility in what it is that we're doing. Like I had a consultation with a potential client last night, actually, and she was starting to inquire about my credentials. And I then shared, about being a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and how we do things differently and how we use the functional lab testing. And all of that gives me confidence in order to talk about what it is that I do, that then kind of equates to a credibility in a way as well too. And I think that comes from, our clients come to us, as we like to say, like they want to know 3 things. Like, can you help me? Have you helped others like me? And do you know what's wrong with me? And because as we were just talking about, like your experience with your son, my personal experience, what our clients go through is they've been through what we call the cycle of trial and error, where they've tried, various therapies, drugs, practitioners, whatever it is, and they're not getting the answers that they are looking for. So when we're using functional lab testing, we are able to get objective data and to make calculated recommendations based on that data that's actually going to get them the results that they're striving for. And then there's another, kind of component to this, is that what's so fascinating to me, and I'm sure you felt this too, Jennifer, is like going through the FDN course, like I mentioned earlier, I have my degree in kinesiology. So I studied fitness, nutrition, and health. I took physiology, and I took biology and human anatomy and all these things. And when I saw Reed Davis speak for the very first time and talking about the physiological aspects of the body, my mind was blown. I was like, why did they never talk about these things in my, physiology class or biology or human anatomy class? Like nobody ever talked about how these systems of the body like work together or don't work together, essentially. And, that just goes to show, it opens up your eyes to the rich content that is delivered, through the FDN course. So again, for anybody that's jumping on with us right now, that's joining the conversation, Jennifer and I are here talking about why functional lab testing increases your credibility as a health coach or a health professional to give yourself an edge and attract, more clients into your business. So if you guys are interested in learning more about the increasing your credibility, go ahead and drop the word EDGE below, and we're going to instantly send you our board certification guide, which is the next piece that I'm getting to here, basically, is that FDN's content is so rich and rigorous. Like, it is actually now what qualifies us FDN graduates to sit for these board certifications, because not just anybody can sit for board certifications. And as we were saying earlier, this is becoming a huge conversation in the functional health coaching industry, and even in the functional health professional industry. As Jennifer mentioned earlier, there's a board certification specifically for naturopathic doctors here also. And we're really seeing the health coaching industry explode and expand in so many ways, especially with the pandemic. People are looking for more virtual resources, basically. And so with this, you have to start asking yourself, like, whether you're already working in this industry or you're thinking about working in this industry and becoming a health coach or health professional, is what is going to set you apart from the rest of the pack, basically, right? And so having access to functional lab testing, as we've been talking about, that already does that, because not everybody has that, especially in health coaching world. And then B, some of these board certifications. So Jennifer, you shared a little bit about the board certifications earlier. I'd love for you to talk a little bit more in depth about, this process that you actually have led FDN through to get us partnered with these board certifications, like the process and what FDN has had to go through to get qualified to be for our students and graduates to qualify for board certification.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's no joke. It is a rigorous policy and procedure to get through those hoops. So FDN is an accredited school with both the AANWC and AANWP. So the entire program had to go through those screening measures in order to be accepted. And not every health coaching school is going to have access to pursuing those board certifications. So AADP is a little bit more inclusive, which is great. And again, we encourage board certification if that's something that you want. But truly, to have that partnership with the American Coaches Board and FDN is really a benefit for us. And Jen, we've done the board certifications, but we've also partnered this year with the Holistic Health Educators Council. And so we're really trying to make sure that all of our community feels very informed of, like, legal matters, and that they're under an umbrella of safety. And that's really, one of the reasons that we encourage our community to pursue board certification, because you've got a couple governing boards that you can appeal to if for any reason, you have any issues. That probably won't happen, but it's nice to have that safety net. And the board certifications and that extra, designation behind your title does set you apart. It really does. I always like to say, it's not like a multi-level marketing scheme, health coach kind of thing that we're doing here.
Yes.
And not that that's a bad thing. It's just that the training and the certification process, just becoming a certified FDNP, is way more rigorous than you think it's going to be. I talk to graduates week after week who, have to take a week off of life after going through their final exam with FDN, because it's just so much information that you're trying to process after, a year's worth of learning. So just the ways that we are set apart in those areas are pretty impressive. And we're just going to continue pursuing that, in the graduate community, and then also just with the FDN community as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing those pieces. And just want to reiterate that it's not just any, health coach training program can get qualified for these board certifications. So FDN has qualified for these board certifications because of the content that is provided in the course, the richness of it, the science that's behind it, and what it is that we do. And so, we are seeing it's not required for health coaches at this point in time to be board certified, but we are seeing, as an industry grows, like, more focus and visibility gets drawn to that industry where their, regulations start to come into play. So we could see this actually become a requirement potentially down the road. So that's why it's really great for, just to get some of these foundations in while, and in the beginning, right? Because then it's just like hopefully a renewal of your board certification. You don't have to take that crazy test every so often or whatnot. But, also what I want to say is that one of FDN's like core values as an organization is to provide this type of, leadership to not only the FDN community, but in the health coaching community and health professional community as well too. So that's why it's also been very important for FDN to strive for and achieve these board certifications for our graduates and our students to help set that standard that's out there too. Because as you just kind of alluded to, you're literally reading my mind. I was like, there's a lot of different, health coaching avenues that people can pursue. And some of those are, let's say, MLM oriented. And there's not a lot of, requirements and regulations regarding that necessarily. And so for those of us that are looking to make a career out of this, to help people on a deeper level, to utilize, functional lab testing, we do want, some regulations, not really the right word that I want to use, but you get what I'm saying. Like, we want standards. Thank you. We want some standardization to what it is that we can go out and do. So again, if you guys are just joining us here towards the end of our conversation, Jennifer and I are talking about, why functional lab testing increases your credibility as a health coach or a professional to give you this edge, in the industry and to help you attract more clients. So whether you're currently a health coach and you're looking for, how do I set myself apart from the pack? Or maybe currently a health professional, how do I set myself apart from the pack? Or thinking about moving into this career and wanting to know how to do that from the get-go, having access to this functional lab testing is going to be unique. It's something that's uniquely that we do as FDNs. And then on top of that, it gives you that credibility, and it also qualifies you to sit for these board certifications because of the science-based, learning or education that we receive and all that's included in the FDN course. So if you want more information about this stuff, go ahead and drop the word EDGE below in the video or below the video, and we are going to instantly send you our board certification guide to read more up on some of these board certifications that FDN qualifies for and why they are standards in the industry, why they are so unique. So Jennifer, is there anything else that you would like to add in terms of, how functional lab testing in your personal practice, because you also have a personal practice where you work with clients, as well as being our amazing association director, but anything else that you would like to add about how functional lab testing, has given you more credibility with your clients or more confidence in that way as you've been building your practice over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started out, I was hesitant to run the labs. I did more coaching without labs than I did with labs because I still wasn't completely confident in my own ability. But as I utilized our medical director program and I learned more and more, every time I could, I would take a consult. Every time I ran a test, I would take a consult. I know you've said the same. Even now,
Yes.
your thriving practice, you still do medical director consults. So I became much more confident in running the labs. And finally, I told people I won't coach you without running the lab. So I've incorporated them the last couple of years into all of my client packages. And I have women tell me, this is why I chose to work with you. I wanted real answers to my questions. I've heard you can get those through these labs. You've done it with other women, and those are the answers that I want. And I've had so many women, Jen, sit in my office, well, when I had an office, and they would cry. They'd say, I'm not crazy. I knew there was something wrong with me. And now we found like blastocystis hominis or supreme estrogen dominance and no progesterone, some crazy minerals on the hair tissue mineral analysis, and they feel validated. So it gives them confidence in me and me confidence in the process of running the labs and just getting, being very familiar with them. And that's something I tell our graduates a lot at AFDNP. And I get it from Reed. He says it all the time. The only way to do FDN is to do FDN. And that includes those 5 foundational labs. And just if I may, as a quick aside, there are a lot of other health coaches too that specialize in like a lab, like maybe a hair tissue mineral analysis or a GI map. But at FDN, you're trained for a year. And then in the association, you're continually getting that clinical training in all like the 5 labs. It's just an incredible picture of what you can pick up with 5 functional labs or more to really get to the root cause of some of those chronic health issues. So it's pretty magical, I'd have to say.
It is really magical. And we also have access to over 60 different labs in those cases where we maybe need to dive a little bit deeper, or because our clients live in different areas of the world. And so based on what's available there, that's the other great thing about FDN is that we have these lab partnerships around the world that help us to work with clients no matter where they are or we are. And I heard you say something really great that I wanted to go back to was about the medical director consults.
Yeah.
And this, I think, also connects in with this whole credibility conversation that we are having because again, like a lot of, there's other trainings out there that will do some of this lab training that we're talking about. There's not very many of them, but one of the things that sets us aside too is that once you start running labs as an FDN, you get access to a medical director consult, which is meeting with one of our clinical advisors to go over lab test results, which I love because then it's like a second set of eyes on your case to give you that confidence in helping people so you don't miss things. I think that that enhances the credibility even more because as we like to say, anybody can run a lab test these days, but not everybody knows what to do with it. So when we talk about our credibility, the clinical advisor, the medical director consults, having access to this community to know what to actually do with that information is a big piece of the puzzle too. So what a great conversation today, Jennifer. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. Again, as we wrap up here, you guys, if you want more information about board certification and increasing your credibility using functional lab testing, go ahead and drop the word EDGE below. We'll instantly send you our board certification guide. And as always, we are here every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. Next week, we're actually going to have the man, Reed Davis, on himself, which is always such a treat to have him on these shows. So make sure you tune in next week. And thanks again, Jennifer, for being here with us today.
Thank you, Jen.